Hello there. There are 96 bags of human waste on the moon. Astronaut poop, urine, just sitting there, frozen for over 50 years. And we almost sent dead bodies up there too, seriously. There was a plan to launch human remains to the lunar surface, a cemetery in space. Did you know we've exploded nuclear bombs on the moon? That we deliberately crashed spacecraft into it? That all the American flags up there are now bleached white? And here's something impossible. The moon and sun appear exactly the same size in our sky. Same apparent diameter, perfect eclipses. What are the odds of that? 1 in billions? 1 in trillions? How was the moon formed? And why do scientists say it shouldn't exist at all? What's still up there that we left behind? Besides poop bags, besides flags, what secrets are buried in lunar dust? Tonight, we'll answer these questions. We'll walk where 12 humans walked. We'll discover things NASA didn't tell you. We'll understand why the moon matters more than you think. Tonight, we're going up to the one place every human has looked at. The moon, our closest neighbor, our silent companion, our cosmic garbage dump. We're going to discover why the moon smells like gunpowder, why it rings like a bell when you hit it, why it's slowly abandoning us, and why, according to physics, it shouldn't even exist. So settle in, get comfortable, let the gentle light of Earth's only moon guide you towards sleep. Because the moon has secrets, strange ones, impossible ones, beautiful ones, and they're surprisingly calming. Let's start with something nobody talks about. The moon is a toilet. When Apollo astronauts landed on the moon, they had a weight problem, not their body weight, equipment weight. Every kilogram mattered. The lunar module could only carry so much back to orbit, so they had to leave things behind. Scientific equipment, tools, cameras, and yes, human waste. 96 bags, filled with feces, urine, and vomit, sealed in plastic, left on the surface. They're still there, frozen solid in the lunar night, baking in the lunar day, for over 50 years. Some scientists actually want to go back and study them, because those bags contain bacteria, microbes from human guts. And if any survived, if any adapted to the moon's extreme conditions, it would revolutionize our understanding of life. Imagine, the first lunar life form descended from astronaut poop, but probably they're all dead. Radiation killed them, temperature extremes killed them, the vacuum killed them. Still, 96 bags, just sitting there, humanity's gift to the moon. We didn't leave our best. We almost turned the moon into a cemetery. In the 1990s, a company called Celestis came up with an idea: space burials. For a fee, they'd take your cremated remains, pack them in a small capsule, and launch them to the moon. Your ashes on the lunar surface forever. They launched a few test missions, sent remains into orbit. Some burned up on re-entry, others are still floating in space. But the moon burial plan faced opposition. Native American groups protested. They considered the moon sacred. Contaminating it with human remains felt disrespectful. NASA agreed. They quietly shelved the idea. But here's the thing. We've already contaminated the moon. With poop, with crashed spacecraft, with bags of trash. The only difference is intention. Poop was practical. Ashes would be ceremonial. One is waste, the other is reverence. But both are human. Both leave a mark. And both prove the same thing. Wherever humans go, we leave traces. We can't help it. Even on a dead world, 240,000 miles away, we still manage to make it about us. The moon smells like gunpowder. Every Apollo astronaut reported the same thing. When they came back inside the lunar module after a moonwalk, they smelled something strange. Gunpowder, spent ammunition, burnt metal. The moon dust, clinging to their spacesuits, carried a distinct odor, sharp, acrid, unmistakable. But why? The moon has no air, no combustion, nothing burning. Scientists think it's a chemical reaction. Moon dust is incredibly fine, created by billions of years of meteorite impacts. It has sharp, jagged edges at the microscopic level. When exposed to oxygen inside the lunar module, the dust reacts, oxidizes, releases volatile compounds. It's not really gunpowder, it's chemistry, but the smell is real. Buzz Aldrin described it as the smell of a just-fired gun. Gene Cernan said it was like wet ashes. They all agreed, the moon smells like war. Strange, isn't it, that the most peaceful place humans have ever been, untouched by conflict, smells like violence. Maybe it's poetic, maybe it's just chemistry, but every astronaut who walked on the moon came back smelling like a battlefield. The moon rings like a bell. In 1969, during Apollo 12, astronauts deliberately crashed the lunar module into the moon's surface. Why? Science. They wanted to create a moonquake, see what happened. They had seismometers set up from the previous mission, instruments to measure vibrations. So they crashed the module, created an impact, and waited. The moon rang, like a bell, for over an hour. The vibrations didn't dissipate quickly like they do on Earth. They resonated, echoed, kept going. Scientists were baffled. On Earth, seismic waves get absorbed by soil, water, atmosphere. But the moon has none of that. It's solid, rigid, dense, so vibrations just continue, bouncing around, inside. Some people took this as proof the moon is hollow, a conspiracy theory that refuses to die. But it's not hollow, it's just different. The interior is less fractured than Earth's. Waves travel farther. Still, the image haunts. The moon, struck by human debris, ringing like a giant bell in the silence of space. A sound no one can hear. But the instruments recorded it. The moon sang, and we made it sing. We nuked the moon. Well, sort of. Not exactly, but close enough. In the 1950s, during the Cold War, the US Air Force developed a plan called A Study of Lunar Research Flights. The public name was Project A-119. The real name was classified. The goal, detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon, visible from Earth, a show of force. They wanted to prove American superiority, scare the Soviets, make a statement. The plan was developed, calculations made. They even recruited a young Carl Sagan to work on it. But ultimately, they cancelled it. Too risky, too provocative, and the scientific community protested. You don't nuke the moon just to flex. The Soviets had similar plans. They wanted to hit the moon with a nuclear-tipped missile, paint a hammer and sickle in radioactive dust. They didn't do it either. Cooler heads prevailed. But we came close, terrifyingly close. Imagine looking up at the moon and seeing a nuclear flash, a mushroom cloud in the vacuum. Humanity at its finest. The flags are white now. When Apollo astronauts planted American flags on the moon, they were red, white, and blue. But not anymore. 50 plus years of unfiltered solar radiation have bleached them. The colors faded. The red turned pink, then white. The blue turned pale, then white. Now they're just white flags. Fabric ghosts. Symbols of surrender, unintentionally. Some flags were knocked over during liftoff. The rocket exhaust blew them down. But the ones still standing are white, blank, colorless. It's almost poetic. We planted flags to claim territory, to mark achievement, to say we were here. And the universe erased the details, left only the shape, the gesture. In 1,000 years, if anyone finds them, they'll be dust, threads, unrecognizable. Because nothing lasts on the moon. Not color, not fabric, not even pride. The radiation doesn't care about nations. The vacuum doesn't care about flags. It just erodes, slowly, patiently, until everything returns to dust. There's a mirror on the moon. In 1969, Apollo 11 astronauts left behind a strange object, a mirror. Not a regular mirror, a retroreflector, an array of 100 tiny mirrors designed to reflect light directly back to its source. Why? So scientists on Earth could bounce lasers off it. And they still do, over 50 years later. Observatories aim high-powered lasers at the moon. The light hits the retroreflector, bounces back. Telescopes detect the returning photons. By measuring the time it takes, scientists calculate the exact distance to the moon. That's how we know the moon is drifting away at 3.8 centimeters per year. Laser measurements, precise to the millimeter. There are 5 retroreflectors on the moon now. Apollo 11, 14, and 15 left them, and 2 Soviet rovers. They're still functional, still reflecting. Silent, waiting, patient. Humanity's longest-running experiment. A conversation with the moon in pulses of light. We shine a laser, the moon answers, we measure the echo. And through that simple exchange, we understand our relationship. Gravitational, mathematical, drifting slowly apart. The moon doesn't speak, but it reflects, and that's enough. Buzz Aldrin took communion on the moon. Here's something NASA didn't publicize. The first meal eaten on the moon was communion. Buzz Aldrin, a Presbyterian elder, brought a small kit with him. Bread, wine, a tiny chalice. After landing, before the moonwalk, during a brief rest period, Aldrin radioed, "I'd like to request a few moments of silence." Then he poured wine into the chalice, broke bread, and took communion, alone, on the moon. He read from the Gospel of John, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit." It was private, personal, a quiet moment of faith in the most extraordinary place a human had ever been. NASA didn't announce it. They'd just been sued by an atheist activist over the Apollo 8 astronauts reading Genesis while orbiting the moon. They wanted to avoid controversy. So Aldrin's communion remained secret for years, only mentioned in his autobiography later. He wanted to do something meaningful, something beyond the technical achievement, something human. And so the first food consumed on the moon wasn't astronaut rations. It was wine and bread, sacred, symbolic, a gesture of gratitude, or faith, or maybe just the need to mark the moment with something more than footprints. The moon received prayers before it received science. The moon has a thin atmosphere. Technically, the moon has an atmosphere, but it's so thin, so tenuous, it barely counts. It's called an exosphere. About 100,000 times less dense than Earth's atmosphere at sea level. It's not made of nitrogen and oxygen like ours. It's sodium, potassium, helium, argon. Particles so spread out they almost never collide. Where does it come from? 3 sources. 1. The solar wind. Charged particles from the sun hit the lunar surface, knock atoms loose. 2. Radioactive decay in the rocks releases gases. 3. Micrometeorite impacts vaporize surface material, releasing atoms into space. But there's no weather, no wind, no sound. You can't breathe it. Still, technically, the moon has an atmosphere, just barely. Astronauts didn't notice it. Instruments detected it. And here's something strange. The exosphere changes. During meteor showers, when the moon passes through debris fields, the atmosphere temporarily thickens. Not by much, still a vacuum by any practical measure, but detectable. The moon breathes, in its way, thin, fragile, almost imperceptible. But it's there, a ghost of an atmosphere, clinging to a dead world. The moon has ice. For decades, scientists assumed the moon was bone dry, no water, none. But they were wrong. In 2009, NASA crashed a spacecraft, L-Cross, into a permanently shadowed crater near the moon's south pole. The impact kicked up debris. Instruments analyzed it and found water ice, lots of it. Not liquid water, frozen, hidden in craters that never see sunlight, temperatures cold enough to trap ice for billions of years. Estimates suggest there are hundreds of millions of tons of water ice on the moon, maybe more. This changes everything. If we build a moon base, we don't need to bring water from Earth, we can mine it locally. Water means drinking, growing food, making oxygen, creating rocket fuel by splitting H2O into hydrogen and oxygen. The moon isn't dry, it's been hiding water the whole time. Where did it come from? Comets, asteroids, impacts over billions of years, each one delivering a little bit of ice. The shadowed craters trapped it, preserved it, kept it frozen. And now we know. The moon has resources. The moon can sustain us. It's not just a dead rock, it's a potential home. Apollo astronauts heard music. On Apollo 10, the crew orbited the moon, and while passing over the far side out of radio contact with Earth, they heard something strange. A sound, in their headsets, high-pitched, whistling, musical. For over an hour, the sound persisted. The astronauts debated. Should they report it? Would NASA think they were crazy? One of them said, "It sounds like outer space type music." They recorded it, brought the tapes back. NASA classified them for decades. When the recordings were finally released in 2008, people freaked out. Aliens? Signals from space? No, just radio interference. VHF frequencies from the Lunar module and command module interacting, creating harmonics. Nothing supernatural, just physics. But the astronauts didn't know that at the time. They were alone on the far side of the moon, hearing unexplained music. It had to be unsettling, disorienting, eerie. The moon, silent and dead, somehow singing to them. Even after the explanation came out, the recordings remain haunting. The sound is strange, otherworldly. And for a brief moment, those astronauts wondered if they were hearing something no human was meant to hear. The moon used to be part of Earth. Remember the giant impact hypothesis, Theia slamming into Earth, creating the moon? That means the moon is literally made from Earth, our crust, our mantle, ejected into space and reformed. Chemical analysis of moon rocks confirms it. The isotopic composition matches Earth's almost perfectly. The moon isn't a captured asteroid. It's not a separate object that happened to get caught in our gravity. It's us, a piece of Earth, torn away, orbiting at a distance. 4.5 billion years ago, we were one world. Then violence, collision, separation. And now we orbit each other, forever connected by gravity, forever separated by space. Some scientists call the Earth-Moon system a double planet, because the moon is so large relative to Earth. We're more like partners than planet and satellite. We pull on each other, the moon raises tides, Earth keeps the moon locked, one face always toward us. It's a dance, a relationship, billions of years old. We came from the same material, the same catastrophe. We're family. And when you look at the moon, you're looking at Earth, just rearranged, reformed, distant. A sibling, a twin, a reflection of what we are. The moon is older than you think. Moon rocks brought back by Apollo missions were dated, radiometric analysis, precise. The moon is 4.53 billion years old, give or take a few million years. Earth is 4.54 billion years old. The moon formed almost immediately after Earth did. In cosmic terms, instantly. But here's what's strange. The moon's surface is ancient, really ancient. The Maria, those dark patches you see, are only 3 to 4 billion years old, formed by ancient lava flows. But the highlands, the bright areas, those are original crust, 4.4 billion years old. When you look at the moon, you're seeing a surface that's barely changed in over 4 billion years. No erosion, no weathering, no plate tectonics to recycle the crust. Every crater is preserved, every impact recorded. The moon is a museum, a fossil, a snapshot of the early solar system. Earth has erased most of its early history, erosion, volcanoes, life, water. We've wiped the slate clean over and over. But the moon remembers, the moon keeps records. And when scientists study moon rocks, they're studying Earth's childhood, our origin story. Because we came from the same place, we're the same age. The moon is our time capsule, our witness, our memory. There are mountains on the moon. When people imagine the moon, they think flat, dusty plains, craters. But the moon has mountains, huge ones. Mons Huygens, the tallest, rises 5.5 kilometers above the surface. That's 18,000 feet, almost as tall as Denali. The Leibniz and Durfell mountains near the South Pole reach 9 kilometers, higher than Mount Everest. But here's the difference. Moon mountains aren't formed by plate tectonics. There are no tectonic plates on the moon. They're impact formations. Created when massive asteroids hit the moon, the crust buckled, folded, thrust upward. Or they're the rims of ancient craters. Giant impacts created walls of rock kilometers high. Some mountain ranges are the remnants of the original lunar crust, pushed up during the moon's formation. They're old, ancient, unchanged for billions of years. No snow on the peaks, no vegetation, no erosion smoothing them down. Just bare rock, stark, sharp, frozen in time. If you stood on top of Mons Huygens, you'd see the curve of the moon, the blackness of space, Earth hanging in the sky. No wind, no sound, just you and the rock and the void. The moon has mountains, but they're the loneliest mountains in existence. You only see 43% of the moon. Everyone says we see one side of the moon, but that's not quite true, because the moon wobbles slightly as it orbits, a motion called libration. Sometimes it tilts a bit north, sometimes south, sometimes it speeds up or slows down in its orbit. From Earth, over time, we can see about 59% of the moon's surface, not just 50. But there's still a far side we never see, 41%, permanently hidden. Not the dark side, that's a misnomer. The far side gets just as much sunlight as the near side. It's just always facing away from us, because the moon is tidally locked. Its rotation matches its orbit perfectly. One side always faces Earth, the other never does. Why? Gravity. Over billions of years, Earth's gravitational pull slowed the moon's rotation until it synced up. It's common in the solar system. Most large moons are tidally locked to their planets. But it feels strange, unsettling, that there's a side of the moon we'll never see from Earth. A hidden face, secret, unknown, until we sent spacecraft around it. And when we finally saw it in 1959, from Soviet probes, we realized it looks different. More craters, fewer Maria, rougher, harsher. The far side has a story, and for billions of years, Earth never saw it. The moon is drifting away. Here's something that should terrify you, but probably won't. The moon is leaving us. Every year, the moon drifts 3.8 centimeters farther from Earth. Not much, about 1.5 inches. You wouldn't notice. But over millions of years, it adds up. 4 billion years ago, when the moon first formed, it was only 15,000 miles away. So close you could see individual craters with the naked eye. It filled half the sky. Tides were enormous, waves hundreds of feet high. Days were only 5 hours long because Earth spun faster. Now the moon is 240,000 miles away and still drifting. Eventually, billions of years from now, it will drift so far that total solar eclipses become impossible. The moon will be too small in the sky to cover the sun. And even later, billions more, the moon might escape Earth's gravity entirely, just leave. What happens then? Earth's rotation destabilizes. The tilt of our axis wobbles chaotically. Seasons become unpredictable. Climate spirals. Life, as we know it, probably ends. But don't worry, the sun will have already expanded and swallowed the Earth by then. So we won't be here to see the moon leave. Still, it's drifting. Right now, as you read this, as you sleep tonight, 3.8 centimeters farther away. Slowly, inevitably, saying goodbye. The moon shouldn't exist. Here's the real mystery. According to planetary formation models, moons like ours don't happen. Rocky planets, like Earth, don't get large moons. They get small, captured asteroids, tiny rocks. Not this. Our moon is 1/4 the diameter of Earth. Huge, disproportionate. For comparison, Mars has 2 moons, tiny, Phobos and Deimos, barely moons at all. Jupiter and Saturn have massive moons, but they're gas giants. Different rules. Earth is a rocky planet with a moon that's way too big. It shouldn't be here. So how did it happen? The leading theory, a Mars-sized planet called Theia, slammed into Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. The impact vaporized Theia, liquefied Earth's surface, ejected massive amounts of material into orbit. That debris coalesced, cooled, became the moon. It's called the giant impact hypothesis, and it's the best explanation we have. But here's the thing, the odds of this happening are absurdly low. The collision had to be at the right angle, right speed, right mass. Too fast, and Earth shatters. Too slow, and Theia just merges. It's one of the most unlikely events in the history of the solar system. And yet, here we are. Here's the moon. Proof that impossible things happen. That we exist because of a cosmic accident so improbable it borders on miracle. The moon shouldn't exist, but it does. And because it does, so do we. The moon has moonquakes. You'd think the moon is geologically dead. No volcanoes, no plate tectonics, no activity. But you'd be wrong. The moon has earthquakes. Well, moonquakes. 4 types, actually. Deep moonquakes, about 400 miles below the surface, caused by tidal forces from Earth's gravity pulling on the moon's core. Shallow moonquakes, near the surface, more powerful. Some register over 5 on the Richter scale. Thermal moonquakes, caused by the sun. The lunar surface heats up during the 2-week day, expands, cracks, and impact moonquakes from meteorites hitting the surface. The Apollo missions left seismometers. They recorded thousands of moonquakes. Some lasted for hours. On Earth, quakes last seconds, but the moon has no water, no atmosphere to dampen vibrations. So the energy just keeps bouncing around. The moon rings, like we said earlier, and it doesn't stop quickly. NASA is worried about this. If we build a moon base, moonquakes could be a problem. Imagine, you're sleeping in a lunar habitat. A shallow moonquake hits, 5.5 magnitude. The structure shakes for an hour. No evacuation, no escape. You're on the moon. You just have to ride it out. The moon isn't dead. It's restless, shifting, cracking. Even in the silence of space, it's never fully still. Moon dust is incredibly dangerous. Apollo astronauts had a problem, moon dust. It got everywhere, on their spacesuits, in the seals, inside the lunar module. And it was sharp, microscopically sharp, like tiny shards of glass. Because there's no wind or water on the moon to smooth it down, every grain is jagged, fresh from meteorite impacts. The dust cut through the outer layers of spacesuits. It scratched helmet visors. It clogged equipment. Some astronauts developed lunar dust sickness, sneezing, congestion, irritated lungs, like inhaling fiberglass. Eugene Cernan said, "I think dust is probably one of the greatest inhibitors to a nominal operation on the moon. But it's worse than inconvenient. It's toxic. Moon dust contains tiny particles of metallic iron, sharp silicates. When inhaled, it damages lung tissue. Long-term exposure could cause serious respiratory problems, maybe cancer. And it's electrostatically charged. Because there's no atmosphere to dissipate static. The dust clings to everything. You can't brush it off. NASA is still trying to figure out how to deal with it. If we build a moon base, dust will be a major hazard. Every time astronauts come inside, they'll bring dust. It'll accumulate. It'll get in the air, in the electronics, in people's lungs. The moon is trying to kill us, slowly, with dust. Beautiful from a distance, deadly up close. The moon controls Earth's tides. Everyone knows this. The moon causes tides, but most people don't understand how. The moon's gravity pulls on Earth. Specifically, it pulls on the oceans. The side of Earth facing the moon gets pulled slightly more than the center. Water bulges toward the moon. High tide. But here's the part people forget. There's also a high tide on the opposite side of Earth. Why? Because the center of Earth is pulled more than the far side. So the far side effectively gets left behind, and water bulges there too. Two high tides, one facing the moon, one facing away. As Earth rotates, you pass through both bulges. That's why most places get 2 high tides per day. But the moon doesn't just pull the oceans, it pulls the land too. The ground rises and falls by about a foot every day. You don't notice because everything around you moves together. Without the moon, Earth's tides would be tiny. The sun would still cause some tidal effect, but nowhere near as strong. And tides matter. They mix nutrients in the ocean. They shape coastlines. They influence marine life cycles. Some scientists believe tides were essential for the origin of life. Tidal pools, where water repeatedly evaporates and concentrates organic molecules, might have been where life began. The moon didn't just create tides, it might have created us. The moon slows Earth's rotation. Here's something that will change how you think about time. The moon is slowing Earth down. Every year, Earth's day gets slightly longer, about 1.8 milliseconds per century. Doesn't sound like much, but over millions of years, it adds up. 400 million years ago, a day on Earth was only 22 hours long. In another billion years, a day might be 25 or 26 hours. Why? Tidal friction. The moon pulls on Earth's oceans. The oceans slosh around. That creates friction between the water and the seabed. That friction slows Earth's rotation. But conservation of angular momentum applies. If Earth is slowing down, something else has to speed up. The moon. It's moving farther away, gaining orbital energy to balance the equation. Earth's rotation slows. The moon drifts. They're connected. Eventually, billions of years from now, Earth's rotation will slow so much that one side always faces the moon, just like the moon is locked to Earth now. It's called mutual tidal locking. Earth and moon forever facing each other, one day equaling 1 month. But that won't happen for tens of billions of years, long after the sun dies. Still, the process has already started, right now, tonight. The moon is stealing Earth's spin, slowly, patiently, inevitably, and there's nothing we can do about it. The moon has no magnetic field. Earth has a magnetic field, generated by our molten iron core spinning, creating electric currents. It protects us from solar radiation, cosmic rays, charged particles that would strip away our atmosphere and fry anything alive. The moon has no magnetic field, not anymore. It did once, billions of years ago, when the moon's core was still molten, still churning. But the moon is small. It cooled faster than Earth. The core solidified, the dynamo stopped. Now the moon is exposed, no protection. Solar wind hits the surface directly. That's why the lunar surface is so heavily irradiated. Why moon dust is dangerous. Why astronauts couldn't stay long. It's also why the moon has no atmosphere. Any gases released get stripped away by the solar wind almost immediately. But here's something strange. Some moon rocks are magnetized. Brought back by Apollo missions, they show remnants of ancient magnetic fields, frozen into the rock when it solidified. This proves the moon once had a strong magnetic field, stronger than Earth's even for a brief period. What happened? Why did it stop? The core cooled. Or maybe the giant impact that formed the moon left the core too disrupted to sustain a dynamo. We don't know for sure. The moon keeps its secrets. But the evidence is there, in the rocks. The moon remembers when it was protected. Now it's naked, exposed, vulnerable, and yet it endures. Apollo 13's oxygen tank exploded. Everyone knows Apollo 13. Houston, we have a problem. But here's what actually happened, and how close they came to dying. 2 days into the mission headed for the moon, An oxygen tank in the service module exploded. Not a small leak, an explosion. The tank ruptured, oxygen vented into space. The command module lost power, life support failing, carbon dioxide building up. 3 astronauts, halfway to the moon, in a dying spacecraft. They couldn't turn around immediately. They were already committed to the trajectory. They had to loop around the moon, use its gravity to slingshot back to Earth. So they shut down the command module to save power, moved into the lunar module. A tiny spacecraft designed for 2 people for 2 days, now housing 3 people for 4 days. It was freezing, condensation dripped from the walls. Carbon dioxide levels rose dangerously high. They rigged a makeshift air scrubber using duct tape, plastic bags, and cardboard. It worked, barely. They rationed water, 1.6 liters per person per day. They were severely dehydrated by the time they got back. And the scariest part, re-entry. The command module had been shut down for days in the freezing cold. Would it restart? Would the heat shield still work after the explosion? They didn't know, but they had no choice. 4 days after the explosion, they jettisoned the lunar module, the lifeboat that saved them. They re-entered Earth's atmosphere in the command module, and it worked. Everything worked. They splashed down in the Pacific, alive, against all odds. Apollo 13 didn't land on the moon, but it's the most incredible survival story in space history. 3 men, a broken spacecraft, and the ingenuity to make it home. There are human artifacts all over the moon. When you think moon landing, you think footprints, flags, maybe the lunar module. But there's so much more. 6 Apollo missions landed. They left behind 6 descent stages of lunar modules, 6 American flags, retro reflectors, seismometers, cameras, tools, boots, backpacks, food containers, urine collection devices, 96 bags of waste, as we said, but also memorial plaques, a silicon disc with goodwill messages from 73 countries, a small sculpture, fallen astronaut, with names of astronauts and cosmonauts who died, a photo of a family left by astronaut Charles Duke, a feather and a hammer used in a gravity experiment, and golf balls. Alan Shepard hit 2 golf balls on the moon during Apollo 14. They're still there, sitting in the dust. The Soviet Union and China also left artifacts, rovers, landers, crashed probes. Private companies have crashed spacecraft too. Israel's Beresheet lander, India's Chandrayaan missions. And here's something unsettling. Beresheet was carrying tardigrades, microscopic organisms known for extreme survival. When the lander crashed, the tardigrades were scattered across the lunar surface. Are they alive? Probably not. The vacuum and radiation likely killed them. But tardigrades can survive extreme conditions. There's a tiny chance some entered cryptobiosis, a dormant state. So the moon might have life on it now. Human contamination, accidental, unintentional. We've made the moon a junkyard, a museum, a graveyard, and we keep adding to it. The moon helps stabilize Earth's tilt. Earth's axis is tilted 23.5 degrees. That's why we have seasons. But here's something most people don't know. That tilt is stable. It doesn't wobble much. Why? The moon. The moon's gravity acts like a stabilizer. It keeps Earth's axial tilt from varying wildly. Without the moon, Earth's tilt could swing from 0 to 85 degrees over millions of years. Imagine, sometimes the equator faces the sun directly. Sometimes the poles do. Climate would be chaotic, seasons unpredictable, ice ages and heat waves alternating randomly. Life as we know it couldn't evolve, agriculture impossible, civilization wouldn't develop. But the moon keeps us steady, 23.5 degrees, give or take a degree or two over thousands of years. Mars doesn't have a large moon. Its axial tilt varies wildly, 35 degrees, 45 degrees, back to 15. Mars has had ice ages, extreme climate swings, and it's part of why Mars is dead now. The moon didn't just give us tides, it gave us stability, predictability. a foundation for life. Without the moon, Earth might be habitable, but it wouldn't be stable enough for complex life to thrive. We owe the moon more than we realize. The lunar month versus calendar month. Here's a fun bit of confusion. A lunar month is not a calendar month. A lunar month, the time from one new moon to the next, is 29.5 days. But our calendar months, 28, 30, or 31 days, they don't match. Why? History. Ancient calendars were lunar. Months followed the moon's phases. 12 lunar months equal 354 days. But Earth's year, one orbit around the sun, is 365.25 days. 11 days off every year. So calendars drifted, seasons shifted, it was chaos. Eventually, civilizations switched to solar calendars. Months became arbitrary, no longer tied to the moon. The name stuck. Month comes from moon, but the connection is broken. We still use lunar calendars for some things. Easter's date is calculated using the moon. Islamic calendar is purely lunar. But day to day, we ignore the moon. Our months are mathematical, not celestial. And yet, people still feel the moon's pull. Studies show upticks in hospital visits during full moons, sleep disturbances, behavioral changes. Maybe it's psychological, maybe it's real. The data is mixed. But the moon still affects us, even if we don't follow its calendar anymore. The same moon saw the dinosaurs. Here's something to put things in perspective. The moon you see tonight is the same moon that hung over the dinosaurs. 165 million years ago, a Tyrannosaurus Rex looked up and saw the same moon, same craters, same Maria. It looked slightly different, closer. The moon was about 20,000 kilometers nearer to Earth back then, so it appeared larger in the sky. But the features? Identical. The face of the moon hasn't changed significantly in billions of years. The dinosaurs saw it, the first mammals saw it, the first primates, the first humans. Every civilization that ever existed looked at the same moon. Ancient Egyptians building pyramids, Romans conquering empires, medieval peasants working fields. They all looked up and saw what you see. The moon is a constant, a witness. It's been watching Earth for 4.5 billion years. It saw continents drift, species evolve, asteroids strike, ice ages come and go. It saw the first single-celled organisms in the oceans, the first plants on land, the first animals to crawl, fly, think. And it's still here, still watching, patient, silent, unchanging. When you look at the moon, you're seeing something eternal, or as close to eternal as anything gets. The moon remembers everything, and it tells us, you are brief. Your life, your worries, your problems, they're a flash. But the moon endures. The moon will outlive the sun. The sun will die in about 5 billion years. It will swell into a red giant, swallow Mercury and Venus, and probably consume Earth too. But the moon will survive. When the sun expands, it will engulf Earth's orbit. The planet will be incinerated, vaporized. But the moon, orbiting farther out by then, remember, its drifting away will escape. It will become a rogue moon, ejected from the solar system, wandering through the galaxy, alone. Or maybe it gets captured by another star, another planet, begins a new orbit, a new relationship. Either way, the moon outlasts us, outlasts Earth, outlasts the sun. It will drift through space, cold and dark, carrying the scars of humanity. The flags, the footprints, the bags of waste. A monument, a relic, proof that we existed. And maybe, billions of years from now, some other intelligence will find it, study it, wonder who left those marks. They'll see the footprints and know someone was here, someone walked on this moon. And they'll ask, where did they go? What happened to them? The moon will be our tombstone, our message to the universe. We were here, we made it this far, and then we ended. But the moon keeps going. Humans might live on the moon. NASA plans to return humans to the moon. Artemis program, first woman, first person of color, by 2025 or 26. But this time they're not just visiting, they're staying. Artemis Base Camp, a permanent outpost near the lunar South Pole, close to the ice deposits, close to resources. Astronauts living on the moon for months at a time, mining ice, producing oxygen and fuel, conducting research. It's not science fiction anymore, it's happening. The hardware is being built, the contracts signed. China and Russia have similar plans, a joint lunar base by the 2030s. Private companies too, SpaceX, Blue Origin, everyone wants a piece of the moon. Within 20 years there could be dozens of people living on the moon, semi-permanently, growing food in greenhouses, 3D printing structures from lunar regolith, mining helium-3 for future fusion reactors. The moon as a resource, a frontier, a second home. But here's the question, should we? The moon is pristine, untouched for billions of years except for 12 pairs of footprints. Do we have the right to industrialize it, to mine it, to turn it into another Earth? Some say yes, it's lifeless, no ecosystem to damage, use it to save Earth, to expand into space. Others say no, the moon is sacred, a natural wonder, leave it alone. The debate is just beginning, but the moon bases are coming, ready or not. Humans on the moon, not visitors, residents. A new chapter, for us, for the moon. The moon has no sound. On Earth, we're surrounded by sound, wind, birds, traffic, voices, music. Even silence on Earth isn't true silence. There's always something, air moving, your heartbeat, blood flowing in your ears. But the moon, true silence. No air means no sound. Vibrations can't travel through vacuum. If you dropped a wrench on the lunar surface, you'd feel it through your boots, vibrations through the ground, but you wouldn't hear it. You could scream, nothing. The sound waves would die at your helmet. Astronauts communicated via radio, their voices transmitted electronically. But in the natural environment, the moon is silent. Some astronauts found it peaceful, meditative, the ultimate quiet. Others found it unsettling, oppressive. The absence of sound felt wrong, alien. Imagine standing on the moon, looking at Earth, that blue marble. You know there are billions of people down there, talking, laughing, crying, singing. But you hear nothing, just your own breathing, your heartbeat, the hum of your life support system. The moon doesn't sing, doesn't whisper, doesn't echo. It just exists, in perfect, eternal silence. And maybe that's why humans find it so compelling. It's the opposite of Earth, the opposite of life. It's stillness, pure and complete. The moon doesn't care about us. Here's the most humbling thought. The moon doesn't care. We've walked on it. Left flags, crashed spacecraft, launched nuclear-armed missiles at it almost. And the moon, unchanged, unaffected, indifferent. Our footprints will last millions of years. But eventually, micrometeorite bombardment will erase them. The dust will settle, the traces will fade. The flags will disintegrate, the equipment will corrode, the plaques will weather away. And the moon will return to what it was, what it's always been, a lifeless rock orbiting Earth. We think we've conquered the moon. We put 12 humans on its surface. We planted flags. We said we did it. But we didn't conquer anything. We visited, briefly, and left. The moon continues without us. It orbits. It reflects sunlight. It pulls tides. It exists. Our entire relationship with the moon is one-sided. We're obsessed with it. We've written poetry about it for millennia. We've made it a god, a symbol, a destination. And the moon, it just drifts, slowly moving away, not fleeing from us, not even aware of us, just following physics, gravity, orbital mechanics. The moon doesn't love us, doesn't hate us, doesn't know us. It's just there, and that's enough. The blood moon. When the Earth passes between the sun and the moon, we get a lunar eclipse. But the moon doesn't disappear. It turns red, deep, rusty red, like dried blood. People call it a blood moon, and throughout history it's been seen as an omen, a warning. Ancient cultures feared blood moons. They thought the moon was dying, being devoured. Some performed rituals to save it, but it's just light, refracted through Earth's atmosphere. When sunlight passes through Earth's atmosphere during an eclipse, blue light scatters, red light bends, and that red light reaches the moon. So the moon glows red, not from anything happening to the moon itself, but from Earth's sunsets and sunrises, all at once, projected onto the lunar surface. Every lunar eclipse is Earth painting the moon with its own light. It's beautiful, eerie, haunting. And it only happens because we have an atmosphere, because we have air that scatters light. Mars gets eclipses too. But Martian moons don't turn red. The atmosphere is too thin. Venus doesn't have moons. Mercury doesn't. They never see this phenomenon. Only Earth, only here. The blood moon is a reminder. We're connected to the moon. Our light touches it. Our shadow covers it. We're in a relationship, even if it's one-sided. The moon might have saved Earth. Here's a theory that's gaining traction. The moon might have shielded Earth from extinction-level impacts. The moon is covered in craters, thousands of them, evidence of billions of years of asteroid bombardment. Some of those asteroids might have hit Earth instead, but the moon, orbiting nearby, intercepted them. It's not a perfect shield. Plenty of asteroids still hit Earth, the one that killed the dinosaurs, for example. But statistically, the moon has taken hits that might have struck us. It's our guardian, not intentionally, just by existing, by being in the way. Every crater on the moon represents a potential disaster avoided, a species that didn't go extinct, a civilization that survived. Of course, this is speculative. We can't know which impacts would have hit Earth without the moon. But it's possible, likely even. The moon, in addition to stabilizing our tilt and creating tides, might have protected us, taken bullets meant for us. A silent guardian, never asking for thanks, never expecting recognition, just orbiting, just existing, just being there when we needed it. The moon landing was real. We have to address this. The conspiracy theory that won't die, the moon landing was faked. People claim it was filmed in a studio, that the photos are too perfect, that the flag waves, that there are no stars in the pictures. Every single one of these claims has been debunked, repeatedly, thoroughly. The flag waves because the astronauts twisted the pole while planting it. The fabric moved, then stopped. There's video of this. There are no stars in the photos because the lunar surface is so bright. Cameras had to use fast shutter speeds and narrow apertures. Stars are too faint to appear. The photos aren't too perfect. They took thousands of photos. We see the best ones. The rest are blurry, overexposed, boring. And here's the kicker. The Soviet Union, our Cold War enemy, tracked Apollo missions. They confirmed the landing. If it were fake, they would have exposed it immediately. China, Japan, and India have all sent probes to the moon. They've photographed the Apollo landing sites. The descent stages are still there, exactly where they should be. Thousands of people worked on Apollo, engineers, scientists, contractors. If it were fake, someone would have talked. Someone would have leaked evidence. But no credible evidence exists because it's not fake. We went to the moon. 12 humans walked on it. It happened. Denying it doesn't make you skeptical. It makes you ignore evidence. The moon landing is one of humanity's greatest achievements, and it's real. The moon has been hit recently. You'd think the moon's surface hasn't changed in millions of years, but you'd be wrong. In 2013, astronomers observed a meteorite impact on the moon in real time. A rock the size of a small car hit the surface at 56,000 miles per hour. The explosion was visible from Earth, a brief flash of light. It created a crater about 65 feet wide, fresh, new. Since then, astronomers have recorded dozens of impacts, small ones mostly, but they happen all the time. The moon is still being hit, still accumulating craters, still changing, just very, very slowly. NASA estimates that meteorites hit the moon at a rate of about 100 per year that are large enough to create observable flashes. Thousands more smaller impacts happen constantly, dust-sized particles, pebbles, rocks. Over time, they erode the surface, very slowly. Micrometeorite bombardment grinds down the regolith, turns rock into powder. It's called space weathering, and it's why the lunar surface is covered in fine dust. The moon isn't static, it's dynamic, just on geological timescales. Human timescales, it looks unchanging. But give it 1,000,000 years, and the moon will look different. New craters, eroded features, shifted dust. The moon evolves, just too slowly for us to notice. Your children might vacation on the moon. In 50 years, maybe less, moon tourism might be real. SpaceX, Blue Origin, they're building rockets for private spaceflight, and the moon is the ultimate destination. Imagine you book a ticket, launch from Earth, orbit the moon, maybe even land. Walk on the surface, see Earth from 240,000 miles away, experience 1/6 gravity, bounce around like the Apollo astronauts did, take photos, collect a small rock, legally questionable, but let's say it's allowed. Return home with stories no one can match. It won't be cheap. Early estimates suggest tens of millions of dollars per seat, but prices will drop. They always do. In 100 years, moon tourism might be as accessible as flying to another country is today. Hotels in lunar orbit, surface habitats for tourists, guided tours of Apollo landing sites. The moon, once the ultimate frontier, becomes a tourist trap. Is that good, bad, inevitable? It means more people experience space. More people see Earth from the outside. That changes perspectives, creates empathy. But it also means commercialization, trash, crowds. The moon loses its mystique. Maybe that's okay. Maybe making the moon accessible is worth losing its mystery. Or maybe we should keep some places untouched, sacred, distant. Either way, your children or grandchildren might stand on the moon, not as astronauts, as tourists. The moon democratized. The moon makes us dream. Why are we so obsessed with the moon? It's not the closest celestial object. Venus gets closer. Mars sometimes does too. It's not the most interesting. Mars has polar caps. Jupiter has storms. Saturn has rings. But the moon is ours. It's close enough to see details, far enough to feel unreachable, bright enough to light the night, constant enough to feel eternal. Every culture on Earth has moon myths, moon gods, moon calendars, moon rituals. We've howled at it, prayed to it, blamed it for madness, love, transformation. We've written songs about it, painted it, photographed it, walked on it. The moon represents the impossible made possible. For most of history, reaching the moon was fantasy, science fiction. Then in 1969, it became real. Humans walked on another world. And that changes everything. Because if we can reach the moon, what else can we do? The moon is a symbol of ambition, of curiosity, of the human drive to go beyond. It's a reminder that we're not stuck here, that the universe is vast, that adventure is possible. The moon makes us dream, and dreaming is what makes us human. The moon will witness our end. One day, humanity will end. That's inevitable. Maybe we destroy ourselves, war, climate collapse, pandemic. Maybe an asteroid hits, a supervolcano erupts, the sun hiccups and fries us with radiation. Maybe we just fade, slowly. Populations decline, civilizations crumble, we disappear quietly. Or maybe we leave, colonize other planets, spread through the galaxy, evolve into something unrecognizable. Either way, Earth won't be our home forever. And the moon will watch, as it always has. It will see our cities fall, our monuments erode, our satellites drift and crash. It will see Earth heal, or die, or both. And the moon will continue, orbiting, drifting slowly away, indifferent. The footprints will remain for millions of years, long after we're gone. Proof that we existed, that we tried, and maybe someday another species will evolve. Look up, wonder about the moon, and they'll discover the footprints, the flags, the equipment, and they'll ask, who came before us? What were they like? Why did they leave? The moon will be our fossil, our monument, our legacy, not because we chose it, but because the moon remembers everything, and it never forgets. The moon is still here, so rest now, friend. Let the weight of deep time settle over you like moonlight through a window. The moon has seen everything: dinosaurs, ice ages, the birth and death of species, the rise and fall of civilizations. And it's still here, still orbiting, still glowing. Your worries, your stress, your daily struggles, they're real. They matter, but they're also temporary, brief, a flicker in the long, slow turning of ages. The moon doesn't judge, doesn't worry, doesn't rush. It just exists, steady, patient, eternal. And tonight it's still there, same as always, same as it's been for 4.5 billion years. You can look out your window if you want, see it, or just imagine it, glowing softly, pulling the tides, keeping Earth stable. The moon is working, even while you sleep, especially while you sleep. It's been doing this job longer than anything else on Earth, and it's not stopping. You are here now. You're not fighting for survival on the lunar surface tonight. You're not rationing oxygen, not dodging micrometeorites, not listening to silence. You're here on Earth, warm, safe, comfortable. The moon did its job. It stabilized our planet, created tides, shielded us from impacts, made Earth habitable. And now you get to rest, because the moon is still up there, still working, still watching. You don't need to do anything. The moon doesn't need your help. It's been taking care of Earth for billions of years. It's got this, and so do you. Let the moon carry you to sleep. So, let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts drift like lunar dust. Let the gentle, predictable rhythms of the moon's orbit carry you into dreams. The moon came from violence, a planet-sized collision, unimaginable destruction. And from that chaos, something beautiful emerged, something that made life possible. You came from struggles too, from challenges, from chaos. And here you are, still here, still going. The moon drifts away, slowly, inevitably, but not tonight. Tonight it's close enough, bright enough, present enough, and so are you. Good night, moon. Thank you for journeying to the moon with me tonight. If you'd like more explorations like this, consider subscribing. But that's for tomorrow. For now, just rest. You are here. You are safe. The moon is watching. And tonight, you don't need to reach for anything. You don't need to escape. You don't need to become anything other than what you are. You just need to sleep. So, let the moonlight, real or imagined, wash over you. Let the ancient light, reflected from a world older than life itself, ease you into rest. The moon will still be there in the morning, it always is. And so will you. Good night, friend. Good night, moon. Sleep well. The universe will still be here when you wake. And the moon will still be watching over Earth, just as it always has, just as it always will.